Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Kevin, and I would like to share with you this exciting AWS Cloud hands-on project I recently completed. I implemented a multi-language pipeline using Amazon S3 and Gen AI services like Amazon Transcribe, Translate, and Poly, which were fully orchestrated through GitHub Actions. The use case for this project is a multinational company based in the United States named Pixel Learning Co. They create all their internal training videos in English, including compliance, cybersecurity, and onboarding modules. Their workforce spans countries like Mexico, China, and India, where employees are not fluent in English. Presently, when training videos are created, they are forwarded to each of these regional offices, who must then hire translators and voice actors to recreate the audio. This wastes valuable time, money, and resources. With my implementation, videos can be distributed to teams in each region in their native language. This process ensures that training is easily understood and completed by all employees in a timely manner. Enough talk, let's get to the video. So for this hands-on project, I will be working within two different accounts, my AWS account and my GitHub's account. Within the AWS account, I will be creating an S3 bucket. After that is created, I will be enabling permissions so that the objects within can be seen from outside, preferably from my GitHub account. The second thing I'm going to do is create two folders, a beta folder and a prod folder. After that, I'm going to create subfolders under each folder, the transcripts folder, translations folder, and the audio_outputs folder. The next thing I'm going to do is create an IAM role. This IAM role will be used specifically by my GitHub account and will have full access to Amazon Transcribe, Amazon Translate, and Amazon Poly. Now within my GitHub account, I'm going to create a repository. Within this repository, I'm going to create a folder called audio_inputs. This will be used for me to upload all of my English MP3 files to. I'm going to create a Python script, and I'm going to use GitHub Actions to create two workflows, one for pull requests, one for merge requests. And finally, I'm going to create GitHub secrets, which is going to contain from my IAM role the access key ID and the secret access key. Also, I'm going to have the name of the AWS region and the name of the S3 bucket. So really quick, let's go through the process. Within my GitHub account, any changes to the repository, whether MP3 files, the Python script, the README file, or any of the GitHub Actions workflows, a commit changes will be needed. Once that is pushed, we're going to go to our pull requests, which is going to be needed to push the changes to our branch. Once a pull request is initiated, we're going to go to our Python script. It's going to pull the audio file from this folder to our Amazon Transcribe, which is going to transcribe that audio into a text file. That text file will be brought over to our Translate. That text file, which will be in English, will be translated into another language. The languages we'll be looking at is Chinese, Mandarin, Spanish, and Hindi. That language will be brought over to our Amazon Poly. So that text will be converted to speech or audio. And within Amazon Poly, we're going to use local voices to those regions. So we have a female voice speaking Chinese, Spanish, and one speaking Hindi. Now that audio is going to be converted into an MP3 file and is going to be saved in our beta folder, audio outputs. Now once those changes are agreed upon and we want to proceed, we're going to do a merge request. Now once we enable the merge request, we're going to go through a similar process. The Python script will be called to, audio will be pulled from the folder, that will be brought to the transcribes, to translate, then to Poly, and that audio will be saved in the prod folder in audio outputs. Once all our changes are completed, we should see text files within our transcripts folder, text files in our translations folder, and audio files for the different languages in MP3. So now let's move on to creating our S3 bucket. Okay, so we are now in my AWS account, and I'm going to create an S3 bucket. So I'm at the S3 dashboard. I'm going to select Create Bucket. Now we're going to select General Purpose, and I'm going to put a unique name for this bucket. So I'm going to put the name of the company, Pixel Learning Language. Okay, so that's Pixel Learning Language S3. Okay, we're going to keep these default ACLs disabled. Now, block public access. We want to unblock this. We want to select the I acknowledge and leave these default. And let's create the bucket. Okay, so as you can see, the bucket Pixel Learning Language 3 has been created. Let's also take note of our region, US East 1, making sure we're working in the same region throughout. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to create the folders. So there's two folders we want to create. The first one we're going to create is titled Beta. All right, we're going to, okay, and let's create another folder. We're going to call this one Prod. Okay, so we have two folders that are created, Beta and Prod. So now let's create subfolders. Let's go back into Beta. And we're going to create 3 subfolders. The first one for transcripts. Transcripts. Second one, translations. Translations. And the last, audio. Audio outputs. Okay, so for the beta folder, we're set. Let's go back to our bucket. Now let's go to prod, and we're going to create those same 3 folders. First one being transcribes, transcripts, okay. Create the second one, translations, and the third, audio outputs. Audio outputs. Okay, so we have 3 subfolders created under prod and 3 subfolders created under beta. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to create an IAM role for our GitHub account. So we're going to select IAM. We're going to open up a new tab. All right, let me go into that tab. So we are now in the IM dashboard. So we're going to select users. We're going to create user. And we're going to give this a username. I'm going to call it GitHub language user. All right, so let's go to next. Now we want to attach policies directly. So we're going to select that. Now we're looking at, let me see, we're going to be using Gen AI services as well as the S3 bucket. So let's do S3 first. We want to do Amazon S3 full access. The next we're going to do is Transcribe. So it's Amazon Transcribe full access. We're going to do Translate full access. And we're going to do Poly, Amazon Poly full access. So we're going to go to next. So as you can see, we have Amazon Poly full access, Amazon S3 full access, Amazon Transcribe full access, and Translate full access. Okay, so we're going to go create the user. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is, let's go into our newly created user. We want to create, let me see, security credentials. We want to create access keys. We want to use these keys so that we can put into our GitHub account and the GitHub secrets. So we're going to click create access. Okay, so the use case we're going to select will be application running outside AWS. So now let's click next. And we're going to select create access key. Access key created. Now we have the access key and we have our secret access key. Let's download the .csv file. All right, so let me go. So on the side, I'm going to my folder, my Explorer window, and I'm going to download this file to one of my folders where I usually put my key pairs, my access key. Okay. All right, so once that is saved, we're done. And we're done with the IAM role. Okay, so the next step is, let's go to my GitHub account where I'm going to create the repository and all the other needed resources. So now I'm at my GitHub account and I'm going to create a new repository. So I'm going to go to the upper right, select new repository, and I'm going to give this name a name that's similar to the name I used in my S3. So we'll do AWS language CICD. Okay, the name I use is AWS language CICD pipeline, and that's not being taken. All right, we're going to make sure it's public. We're going to add a README file, and we're also going to add a gitignore. Now this is going to be useful. There's going to be, we're going to do this for Python. Okay. And we're not going to choose a license. let's go ahead and create this repository. Okay, so we have a new repository, AWS language CICD pipeline. We have a .gitignore. We have a README file. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is, now we have a main branch, right? So let's protect the main branch. And this is usually what you want to do in a production environment when you have many people, many developers making changes. You want to make sure the main branch isn't overwritten with inaccurate or faulty information. So we'll go to branches. We're going to go to add classic branch protection rule. I'll just name this, let's see, protect. Now we're going to require a pull request before merging. Require approvals. I'm going to dismiss stale pull request approvals. Require review from code owners. Require approval of the most recent reviewable push. Require status checks. Branches to be up to date. And we're going to do a require conversation resolution before merging. Okay. Go ahead and create it. Okay, so we successfully created the protection rules for our branch. Let's go back to our repository. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a folder within our repository. And we're going to name this folder audio_inputs. This folder is going to contain the MP3 file that we have in English. So right now let's go to create new file. We're going to give it a name, audio inputs /. Now to create a folder in GitHub, it's going to ask you to create a file within it. And it doesn't have to be a real file. It just has to be a named file. So we're going to call this sample.txt. We're going to commit this change directly to the branch, to the main. Okay. And let's go back to the repository. Okay, so as you can see, we have an audio inputs folder. So now let's go ahead and put the MP3 file within this. And let's go into the folder again. Now we have to make sure a file stays within this folder. If I were to delete this, the folder would disappear or be deleted. So let's add a file, upload. I'm going to go to my folder, grab the MP3. I'm just going to call this the HR process onboarding. HR process onboarding. All right, so let's go ahead and commit the changes. Okay. So now if we were to go into that folder again, we see that the MP3 file is here. Now let me get rid of this text file. Okay, so now we have the MP3 file that's here. Now just to touch base upon the file. This file was recently created by the HR department, and it goes to the HR onboarding process for new hires. So this is going to be rolled out to all the sites in the US, and HR wants to push this to the remote sites, China, India, and Mexico. So I'm going to play this for you guys shortly, but let's get to the next step right here. All right, so we have the folder, readme, git ignore. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to upload our Python script. But before we do that, let's clone our repository from our GitHub remote site to our desktop. So let me go to code, open with GitHub desktop. I do have a local copy of GitHub desktop running on my PC. Okay, so it's going to do clone. Okay, so right now, as you see, it just put the AWS language CICD pipeline on my desktop, and we have the main branch. So what I want to do now is I'm going to open up in Visual Studio Code, and as you can see, we see the existing files that are within. We have the audio inputs folder, git ignore, and the readme file. So now let's create the Python script. We're going to call this process. Audio.py. Okay, so now let me go to my notepad. I'm going to copy the Python script. Okay, so the script has been pasted in. And the script goes through the whole process from importing the libraries to the environment variables, initializing the AWS clients through Boto3, through all the different functions, uploading to the S3 bucket, transcribing, translating, synthesizing the speech, to uploading your files to the S3. So I'm going to go over this in detail a little later. So let me save this. All right. So now we have this saved in our local repository. All right. So let me come out of this. Let me go to my GitHub desktop. And as you can see, the GitHub desktop shows the addition of the Python script. Now we want to push this to our remote GitHub repository. So to do this, let's first create a branch. And we're just going to name this new upload. Bring my changes to the new upload. All right, so you see the new branch is here, and we have the changes that are here. So we're going to push these changes to our newly created branch. If everything looks good in working condition, then we can definitely do the merge to the main branch. So let's commit this. I'll publish this to the branch. Okay, so let me minimize this. And in our repository, you see that it's been pushed. All right, so we're going to create a pull request. And since we're basically in the setup phase, we're just going to do a merge to the main. Confirm merge. All right, so that was successful. successfully merged and closed. So let me delete that temporary branch. All right, let's go to the main repository. And as you can see, we have our Python script that's here. We click on that. You can see our Python script is here. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I just want to go over really quickly the MP3 file. So, as I said before, this is part of the HR onboarding process. Just to show you really quick, this is on a notepad. This is the breakdown of it. HR onboarding process script. This goes into the 5 different steps a new hire will need to complete the onboarding, paperwork, employee handbook, setup of company email, software accounts, orientation, meeting the team and manager. Now, since this is going to be in English, we're going to use Amazon Polly. The voice we're going to use is going to be a female voice of Danielle. And just to let you hear quickly what that sounds like, let me play this.
Welcome to your HR onboarding process. Let's walk through the basic steps to get you started. Step 1. Complete your employee paperwork. This includes tax forms, identification documents, and direct deposit information. Step 2. Review the employee handbook. It outlines company policies, code of conduct, and important procedures. Step 3. Set up your company email and software accounts. Instructions will be provided by your IT department. Step 4. Attend the orientation session. This will give you an overview of the company culture, benefits, and expectations. Step 5. Meet your manager and team. They will help you get familiar with your role and answer any questions you have. That's it. You're all set to begin your journey with us. Welcome aboard.
Now that is the audio that Pixel Learning will be using to push out to all US employees. And they want to push this out to their regional locations, China, Mexico, and India. But this hands-on project, we're going to be converting this, translating it to the languages of those regions, and we're going to go from there. So I just wanted to play that really quick. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to set up our workflows. So let me go to Actions, and let me go to New Workflow. Okay. So we're going to set up a workflow. And the first one we're going to set up, let me just open up my notepad. All right, perfect. So the first workflow we're going to set up, and the extensions for this is going to be a YAML file. It's going to be for my pull requests. So we'll do on pull request. So that's going to be the name. Let me copy and paste the process. This is the script for the YAML file. And as you can see, within a pull request, S3 prefix is going to be a beta file. It's going to start off with beta. So let me save this. Save directly to the branch. Alright, so the next one we're going to do, we're going to set up the second workflow. Let's come back to Actions, New Workflow. Alright, so this one we're going to create for merge requests. we're going to call this one on merge. So let me copy the code, or basically the script. Okay, and as you can see, this is going to push to the main, and the S3 prefix is going to be prod. So the files will be saved to the prod folder. And we have an environment. These are the variables. These are going to be in our GitHub secrets so that our GitHub account can connect to our AWS account, the IAM role, and have full access to the Gen AI services. So let me commit changes. Okay, so we have our two merge workflows. Let's go back to the repository. Okay, so we have our folder, README. Within the folder, we have our MP3, we have our Python script workflows. So finally, let's go into our GitHub secrets and input the IAM role information. So let me go to settings, secrets and variables, actions. Okay, so let's set up the first one. Okay, we're going to call this one to AWS Access Key ID. So let me go ahead, copy the access key ID. I have it on my notepad. All right, let me add the secret. Okay, and the next secret I'm going to add is going to be the secret access key. So we're going to do AWS secret access key. Let me go ahead and copy this. Okay, perfect. So the next one I'm going to create is for the AWS region. And if we go back into my AWS account, we look at the folder, we'll look at the bucket, and we notice that the region is US East 1. So I'm going to put that into secrets, US East 1. So I'm going to save that. Okay, one more to go. And we're going to call this one the S3 bucket. So let me go back to the AWS account. This is the name of the S3 bucket. I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to place it in. Pixel Learning Language S3. All right, so right now we have 4 secrets that are saved. Go back to our repository. Okay, so now the final thing we need to do is to update our README file. The README file pretty much walks you through the purpose of the project and the inner workings of how it all ties together. So let me go to my notepad once again. All right, so let's go to the README file, and we're going to modify. We're going to edit. Let me go ahead and copy and paste from my notepad. Okay, so let me put the changes in. And let me commit the changes. Main branch. Let me go to the main. All right, as you can see, I've updated the README file. And as I mentioned before, pretty much goes over the method, the purpose of the project. It's to automatically process MP3 files using AWS Transcribe, Translate, Poly, and stores the output in an S3. So these are the AWS services we're going to be using: S3, Transcribe, Translate, Poly. This is what we set up: the S3 bucket, IAM role, and the GitHub secrets. This goes over how it all works. Any changes to files within the repository, commit changes, and then we have to trigger a pull request. If that goes successful, we have to do a merge request, and that pushes all the changes to our main branch and the output in our S3 bucket, the beta and the prod folders, and the subfolders. And lastly, how we verify our results, how we go into the S3, the folders, and we're able to see the text files within the transcripts, translations, and the MP3 files within the audio outputs. Okay, so that goes over the whole process. Okay, so now it's time for us to have a little fun. We're going to test out our Python script. But before we do that, let's go back to the S3 bucket. And really quick, just wanted to go over the folders. So let's go to the Pixel Learning Language S3. Once again, we have two folders. We have a beta and a prod. So with a successful pull request, the files, the text files and the audio will drop to this folder. And the text files for transcripts will be here, text files for translations, and we should have an audio MP3 file within this outputs folder. And we're going to have different languages tagged to each that should appear. Let me go back. Now, once that is successful, we're going to do a merge request. All the files and audio should drop in the prod folder. And once again, text file transcripts will drop in this folder. Text files for translations will drop here. And all the audio files will drop in the audio outputs folder. Okay. So now let's go back. So in order for us to execute, we're going to go into our process underscore audio .py file. And in looking at the script, the change that we need to make is under the environment variables category, specifically target underscore language. As of right now, the language code is ES, which is for Spanish. And if we move down a little bit, we can take a look at the voice map. ES will be for Spanish, female voice Lupe. We have ZH for Chinese, specifically Mandarin, ZU, and HI for Hindi, female voice Kajal. So right now, let's change. We're going to look at Chinese voice, ZH. So let's go right in here. So let's edit the script, and instead of ES, we're going to put ZH. Okay, so that change is successful. We're going to do a commit changes to start the process. The commit message, we're going to update the audio.py. Now we're going to create a new branch for this commit and start a pull request. So it automatically created this branch. Okay, propose changes. Okay, now we're going to go perform a create pull request. Okay, we're going to let this run. Okay, we see that the audio processing has started. This is the pull request. Remember the YAML file. beta folder is what it should drop to, and it should be tagged to. We just have to wait for this to finish. I'm going to give it a few more minutes. Okay, we got a successful. And let's take a quick look at our S3 bucket. So let's go into our bucket. Now let's go to the beta file. Now you notice that a new folder has been added, an audio inputs folder. So this is what's automatically pulled from our GitHub. And in here contains the original audio file. So let's go back. Now let's look at our transcripts folder. So we have the text file for the transcript. The script also creates a JSON file and a temp file. So we have the text file. Let's go back. And we have translations. We have a text file here. Take note of the tag ZH, which is the language code for Chinese. So this helps differentiate the texts from each other. And finally, we have the audio outputs. ZH again, this is the MP3 file. So we're going to take a listen to this after we finish downloading all the different languages. Okay, so now that's the beta. So now let's go back to our GitHub. Now we're going to do a merge pull request. And we're going to confirm the merge. Okay. And the pull request was successful. This is usually a quick push to our main branch. We're going to delete this branch. Okay. Now let's go to our S3 bucket. Now remember that for the on merge workflow, everything goes to the prod folder. So let's go to prod. And as you see, an audio inputs folder has been created. Transcripts folder. You see the text file. Translations. You see the text file. And audio outputs. CHMP3. Okay. So we see that everything was dropped. Everything is working correctly. So now let's go back to our repository. Now we're going to make another change. We just completed the audio for our region in China. So that's in Chinese. So now let's go back into the script. We're going to edit. Now we want to edit this and put it back to language code ES, which is for Spanish. Remember, we have a region in Mexico. And if we go down here to confirm, ES is in fact Spanish. All right, so we're going to make those changes, commit change. We're going to create a new branch. All right, we're going to create a pull request. Okay, so the process is running. The workflow is running. Just wait a few minutes. This is very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So we're waiting for this process to go through. Right now we have successfully completed for our region in China. Now we're doing our region in Mexico. Okay, you see that the changes were successful. Now let's do a merge pull request. We'll take a look at everything in the very end. We're going to confirm. Okay, pull request successfully merged. We're going to delete the branch. Okay, let's go back to our repository. Okay, so let's take a quick look at our bucket. Let's look at the beta. Translations, we have the ES. So this is Spanish. Let's go back. Audio outputs. See, we have the ES. So we have the Spanish. And let me see, audio inputs. We have the same MP3 file. Okay, so if we go to prod, we should have the same outcome. Transcripts, translations, audio outputs. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our GitHub. So we have Spanish translation and audio file completed. Now we're going to go into our script and we're going to change for our final region in India. So now we're looking at our Python script, and I've made the change for the target language. So now it's set for HI, and that is the language code for Hindi. And let me see, the default as stated before is going to be Spanish. All right, so let's make this, let's save, commit the changes, create the branch. Okay, we're going to create a pull request. All right, we're going to let this run. Give this a few seconds. So far we have 2 audio files. We have the Chinese and we have the Spanish. So now it's working on the Hindi. It's going to be interesting to see what all of them sound like and to see the translations. Okay, so this is successful. Now let's do the merge pull request. Okay, so this was safely done. Let's delete the branch. Okay, so now let's go into our S3 bucket. All right, so now let me go to, let's go to the beta. Now let's see translations. And here you see we have 3 translations. ES Spanish, HI Hindi, ZH Chinese. And let's go to the audio outputs. Once again, we have all 3 languages. Okay, so let's go to our prod folder. Let's just quickly look at the outputs. And you see we have all 3. Okay, so now it is time to look at the translations and to listen to the MP3 audio files. So we're going to be listening to the audio and looking at the text files in our beta folder. Because remember, once again, everything in our prod folder is the same as the beta. They're duplicates. The process with the pull request is if the pull request goes through and we're satisfied with the changes, those changes will be pushed to the main branch. So we're going to be looking at everything in our beta. All right, so we're going to look at, let's take a look at translations. Transcripts is pretty much the same thing. It's looking at our English audio translated to text. That's all that is. So let me bring over my notepad. So for Spanish, this is the translations, the text file. Everything that we had in English, this is what it looks like converted into Spanish. And with Amazon Poly, we have our AI voice that's going to read this Spanish in the local Spanish language. Then we have for Hindi, this is what the translation looks like. The same English text is written in Hindi. And finally, we have Chinese Mandarin. This is what it looks like translated into Chinese Mandarin. Okay, so now let me put the Spanish here. And I'm going to play the Spanish audio for our region in Mexico. Okay, let me.
Bienvenido a tu proceso de incorporación de RRHH. Repasemos los pasos básicos para empezar. Primer paso, complete la documentación de sus empleados. Esto incluye los formularios de impuestos, los documentos de identificación y la información de depósito directo. Paso 2, revisa el manual. Describe las políticas de la empresa, el código de conducta y los procedimientos importantes. Paso 3. Configura las cuentas de correo electrónico y software de tu empresa. Su departamento de TI le proporcionará las instrucciones. Paso 4. Asista a la sesión de orientación. Esto le dará una visión general de la cultura, los beneficios y las expectativas de la empresa. Paso 5. Conoce a tu gerente y a tu equipo. Le ayudarán a familiarizarse con su función y a responder a cualquier pregunta que tenga. Eso es todo. Ya está listo para comenzar su viaje con nosotros. Bienvenido a bordo.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. That sounded like fluent Spanish to me. What do you guys think? Now let's take a look at, this is our Chinese. Let me see. Correction, this is our Hindi. And I'm going to select the audio for Hindi. All right, let this play.
आपकी एचआर ऑनबोर्डिंग प्रक्रिया में आपका स्वागत है। आइए आपको शुरू करने के लिए बुनियादी चरणों के बारे में बताते हैं। पहला कदम, अपने कर्मचारी की कागजी कार्रवाई पूरी करें। इसमें टैक्स फॉर्म, पहचान दस्तावेज और सीधे डिपॉजिट की जानकारी शामिल है। चरण 2, इसकी समीक्षा करें। हैंडबुक, यह कंपनी की नीतियों, आचार संहिता और महत्वपूर्ण प्रक्रियाओं की रूपरेखा तैयार करती है। चरण 3, अपनी कंपनी के ईमेल और सॉफ्टवेयर खाते सेट करें। आपके आईटी विभाग द्वारा निर्देश दिए जाएंगे। चरण 4, ओरिएंटेशन सत्र में भाग लें। इससे आपको कंपनी की संस्कृति, लाभ और अपेक्षाओं का अवलोकन मिलेगा। चरण 5, अपने मैनेजर और टीम से मिलें। वे आपकी भूमिका से परिचित होने और आपके किसी भी प्रश्न का उत्तर देने में आपकी मदद करेंगे। बस इतना ही। आप हमारे साथ अपनी यात्रा शुरू करने के लिए पूरी तरह तैयार हैं। आपका स्वागत है।
Okay, and that's for our employees in our India office. And last but certainly not least, we have our folks in China. And let me play that audio. Give it a few seconds to cache.
欢迎来到 HR 入职流程，让我们逐步完成基本步骤以帮助您入门。第一步，完成员工文件，这包括纳税申报表、身份证明文件和直接存款信息。第二步，查看手册，它概述了公司政策、行为准则和重要程序。第三步，设置贵公司的电子邮件和软件账户，说明将由您的 IT 部门提供。第四步，参加入学说明会，这将使您概述公司文化、福利和期望。第五步，与您的经理和团队会面，他们将帮助您熟悉自己的角色并回答您的任何问题。就是这样，你已经准备好和我们一起开始你的旅程了。欢迎登机。
Unbelievable. All right, guys. So this pretty much wraps up. We started off with an English audio of our HR policy procedures. We finally ended with a translation in Chinese Mandarin, Hindi for our employees in India, and Spanish for our employees in Mexico. This has been an amazing project, AI, Gen AI, deep learning. Looking forward to my next project. Thank you guys for joining on this journey to the cloud and beyond. DevOps engineer.